Okay, so this video is going to be about adding S-E-S or I-E-S after the word. We're going to make them plural. And we're going to read a book today called The Tour of the Planets. And we're going to stop every once in a while. And we're either going to look at the word because it's already plural, or we're going to make it plural. Okay? So, let me get my notes in front of me here. All right. So we know that when you are making a word plural, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. So we're going to make a chart here today. We know that we need to, or we could sometimes just add an S at the end of the word, and that will make it plural. For the most part, that is what you'll do to most nouns. But sometimes we will need to add an ES. Okay? Now, what makes these two different? Well, when do I know when to add an S and when to add an ES? Well, that is very simple. You're going to look at how the word ends, the base word. If it ends in an X, if it ends in a S already, such as the word mess or the word grass, you would add an ES to it. If it ends in a CH, like lunch, if it ends in a SH, or if it ends in a Z, you're going to add an ES to the word. Now, sometimes a word ends in a Y. If it ends in a Y, you could drop it and then add I-E-S. But that is only when you have a consonant plus a Y. So you're going to look at what letter comes before that Y. Now, sometimes a word ends in a Y, but we're just going to add an S to it. We're not going to drop that Y, we're going to keep it. And that happens when we have a vowel plus a Y at the end. All right? So we're going to keep this in mind as we are reading today, and we're going to look for words that are either already written in plural, or we're going to change them so that they are written in plural. And the book we're going to read today is A Tour of the Planets. This is a great time to be going outside and looking at the sky at night, because in January, that's when most of the sky is clear and we can see the stars better. Here we go. Look up at the sky on a sunny day. Think of yourself standing on planet Earth, spinning in space. 8 more planets are also spinning in space, and all 9 planets are circling around a star called the sun. Now, there's a word on this page that's already written in plural, and that is the word planets. Let's look at this word. Okay, I'm going to pull my book off to the side here. Let's look at that word. Now, in the book, they had it already plural. Okay? They already had an S to it. But let's look at that base word. And remember, a base word is the word we're building off of. And the word we're building off of is planet. Okay? Let's look at how this word ends. Just the base word, what I wrote in blue. Does it end in an X, an S, a CH, an SH, or a Z? No, it ends in a T. Okay, so that's not going to work. Does it end in a Y? No, it does not. So because it does not fit these other three, we're just going to add an S to it. And in the book, they just added a regular old S to that word. So planets, you just add a S to. All right, let's keep reading. The 9 planets that orbit the sun are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. They make up our solar system. The solar system also includes moons that go around some planets, asteroids, which are big chunks of rock, and comets, which are balls of ice and dust. A lot of plural words in that paragraph there. Our planet Earth is a globe with 3 main layers: crust, mantle, and core. We live on the crust, which is made of hard rock. Most of the crust is covered with great bodies of water, such as oceans, lakes, and rivers. Because of all this water, people have nicknamed Earth the Blue Planet. All right, let's look at this one right here, this word right here, bodies. Now, they're talking about all the different types of water that we have on Earth. We have water in lakes, rivers, and, oceans, lakes, and rivers. Let's look at that. That word bodies is already written in plural form, but let's talk about why they added IES. Okay, so the original word, like I said, was bodies. And if you notice, back when we were looking at the word planets, all they did was add an S at the end of the word to make it plural. But here, they added IES and made it bodies. Well, what is the base word for bodies? What's the word they're building off of? Body. Okay, and we spell body like that. And what do you notice that comes at the end of body? A Y. Very good. So let's look at our chart. Our 2 Y's are back here. Now let's look at the letter before the Y. That letter is a D, right? Is that a consonant or a vowel? Well, that's a consonant. So, when the letter before the Y is a consonant, you get rid of that Y, and then you add I-E-S for bodies. Okay? So, bodies on our chart would be right here. All right, let's keep going. Would you like to tour the planets on an imaginary spaceship? Climb aboard. Buckle up. Here we go. First stop, the moon. On the moon, everything looks very strange. The sky is always black. Mountains, valleys, and big craters cover the moon's surface. There is no sign of life anywhere. All right, let's look at this word valleys here. This word ends in a Y. Why didn't they drop the Y and add IES at the end of this one? Let's look at that word. Valleys. Okay, so that's how they spelled it in the book, to make it plural. Well, what's the word that they built off of? Valley. We have one valley. Okay, valley ends in a Y. Let's look next door. What is next door to valley? Well, that's an E. Is that a consonant or a vowel? E is a vowel. So let's look at our chart here. Oh, if it ends in a vowel and then a Y, we just add S to it. And that's why they just added an S at the end of valleys. Now, when we looked at bodies, it had a consonant and then the vowel. That's why they dropped the Y and add IES. But because this is a vowel and then the Y, you're just going to add an S. Like so. All right, let's keep going. Fire up the rockets and speed the spaceship towards the sun, the star at the center of our solar system. Like other stars, the sun is a gigantic ball of superhot gases. The sun sends out tremendous amounts of heat and light energy. The energy is powerful enough to reach every planet in this solar system. Gases. Notice how they made it plural. What did they add at the end of that one? ES. Let's talk about why they did that. Okay, so here's the word gases in the book we read, and I noticed that it ends in an ES to tell me that it is plural. Well, what's the base word? What's the word they're building off of? Gas, right? They're building off of gas. Now, what does gas end in? It ends in a S, right? Well, let's look back at our chart. We add an ES when the word ends in an X, an S, a CH, an SH, or a Z. Well, this ends in an S. So that means that we're going to add ES to the end of our word to make it plural. Gases. All right, let's keep reading. Now, before we keep reading, though, there's one word I want us to look at. And that word, they did not make plural, but we're going to make it plural. And the word is energy. It says the sun sends out tremendous amounts of heat and light energy. I want to make that energies, more than one. Okay? So our base word here is energy. What does energy end in? It ends in a Y. Let's look next door. What's next door? That's a G. G is a consonant. So what happens when there's a consonant before the Y? We add what? We add an IES. So we get rid of the Y and we add IES for energies. All right. Let's keep on reading. Guide the spaceship away from the sun and towards Mercury, the closest planet to the sun. Because Mercury is so near the sun, it is unbelievably hot. During the day, the temperature climbs to 800 degrees Fahrenheit. Pilot the spaceship millions of miles towards Venus. Venus is Earth's nearest neighbor in space. The first thing you see around Venus is a thick layer of poisonous acid clouds. Pass through the orbit of Earth to find Mars, the fourth planet from the sun. Like Earth, Mars is made of rock, but it looks red because of rusty iron in the soil. The huge gash across the planet is called Valles Marineris. It is 3,000 miles long, up to 50 miles wide, and 5 miles deep, making it much bigger than the Grand Canyon. I'm talking about that gash right there. Now, let's actually look at the word pass. It's up here. It says, pass through the orbit of Earth to find Mars, the fourth planet from the sun. I want to make that word plural. Make it passes. Okay. Passes. Right now, it's singular, meaning one. We just pass. What does it end in? Ends in an S, doesn't it? Let's look at our charts. Doesn't end with a Y, so we don't need to worry about that. Let's see if we add ES. If the word ends in an X, an S, a CH, an SH, or a Z, we're going to add what? ES to the end. Pass ends in a S, so we're going to add ES to the end of it. If we didn't put that E at the end of it, it would have 3 S's like this. And does that look right? No. We need the ES. Okay. Now there's another word on this page here that I was looking at, and I wanted us to make it plural, and the word is gash. The huge gash across the planet is called Valles Marineris. There's a little mark here. Let's make that plural to gashes. Okay? So right now, the base word is gash. How does the word gash end? Well, it ends in a SH. Look at the chart. Let's see. It doesn't end in a Y, so we don't need to worry about that. Does it end in an X, an S, a CH, an SH, or a Z? Yeah, it ends in an SH. So that means that we're just going to add an ES to the end for gashes. Like that. All right. Let's keep reading. Before reaching the next planet, we must rocket through the asteroid belt. Thousands of asteroids orbit the sun in this space between the inner planets and outer planets. Sometimes a bright comet flashes through the asteroid belt. Look at this. Flashes. And it says sometimes a bright comet flashes through the asteroid belt. Let's look at that word. They already have it pluralized, but let's talk about why they added ES to the end of it. The word they're building off of is flash. Okay, and they added ES to make it plural for flashes. How does flash end? It ends in a SH. And if it ends in a SH, they add ES to the end for flashes. It ends the same way as gashes does. Okay, let's keep going. Visit Jupiter next, but don't even think of landing. The planet has no solid surface. It is made almost completely of hot swirling gases covered by a layer of frozen clouds. So there's no hard surface. You can't land on it. It's just a big cloud of gas. Fly past Saturn too. Like Jupiter, Saturn is just a ball of gas surrounded by swirling clouds and many moons. But Saturn's rings make it one of the most beautiful planets in the solar system. Landing on the cold blue-green gas of Uranus is also impossible. Like all planets, Uranus orbits around the sun and rotates. But while the other planets are nearly upright, Uranus tilts to one side. For part of its orbit, its north pole points to the sun. We must fly more than 1 billion miles to get to Neptune, another blue-green planet. Far from the sun, Neptune is the last of the 4 giant gas planets in the solar system. Stormy winds of up to 700 miles an hour whip through Neptune's thick cover of clouds. All right, let's look at a couple words here. Let's look at the word fly. Okay, I want to make that flies. It's like 2 airplanes fly, or sorry, flew through. Oh my goodness gracious, Miss Lawton is not on it today. But let's make that word plural. Right now we have fly. Well, what does fly end in? It ends in a Y. So we have 2 options here. We're either going to drop the Y and then add IES, or we're just going to add an S to it. Let's look next door. What's next door to Y? L, right? Is L a consonant or a vowel? It is a consonant. So we're going to drop the Y and add IES. So that's going to come over here for flies. All right. Now there's another word here I want us to look at, and that is the word winds. Now, they made this plural, okay, in the book. It says right here, stormy winds of up to 700 miles an hour whip through Neptune's thick cover of clouds. So we're going to talk about why they added just an S to it, okay? What's the word they're building off of there? Wind. Does it end in a Y? No, not at all. Does it end in an X, an S, a CH, an SH, or Z? No. Since it doesn't fit any of these, we're just going to add a S to it and get winds. All right, let's keep going. Almost done with the book. Try to spot Pluto, the most distant planet at the very edge of the solar system. Looking up at the sky from Pluto, the sun looks like an unusually bright star. What is beyond Pluto? Billions and billions of stars. Each looks like a giant spot in the night sky, but each is a giant ball of superhot gas like the sun, and many may have planets circling around them, just like the planets in our solar system. Our tour of the planets is now done. It's time to turn the spaceship around and head back. It was fun to travel through space, but it'll be even better to return safely home to planet Earth. Let's look at one more word before we end our lesson, and the word is sky, right here. Each looks like a tiny spot in the night sky. Let's make that skies, okay? Right now it's not plural at all. But we want to make it plural, okay? So it ends in a Y. So we know we're either going to drop that Y and add IES, or we're just going to add an S to it. Let's look next door. It has a K. That's consonant. So what happens? Consonant plus a Y, we drop that Y and we add IES. for skies. All right, that is our lesson for today. So now you can go and do today's Jamboard with adding S to words.